The Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill could be essential in resolving the energy crisis. But there are serious concerns about whether the bill will be approved by Parliament before the end of the current administration's term. The bill is a crucial next step in the unbundling of Eskom and establishing a competitive electricity market. Boitumelo Kiepile, who is the head of the regulatory affairs at Enel Green Power South Africa, joins us now to tell us what he thinks. Boitumelo, thank you very much for your time. Of course, this is something that should benefit South Africans and especially the consumers of electricity, because at least it will give me more options besides Eskom.
It will definitely do. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. The Electricity Amendment Bill seeks to open the market, especially from a supply side, by creating or allowing more generation companies to supply electricity either directly to customers or directly via the grid, which is the Eskom or municipal grid. So processing this would actually be a step in the right direction in South Africa.
It would also expand the role of the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, wouldn't it, in terms of different entities possibly going to court to try and get approval to up the price for their services?
The regulator currently issues licenses and also registration for the generation. It also licenses the transmission, distribution, trading, and export and import of electricity. So we have seen, the Eskom has obtained its transmission license, which is leading up to the unbundling of Eskom, as you have mentioned, into the three segments, which is generation, transmission, and distribution. But also what we are seeing is NERSA as a regulator is also getting into licensing traders, which also would have the opportunity to purchase from a variety of generation companies in order to serve their customers. The amendment bill, it also now gives the regulator the powers to set and approve tariffs. However, we still need to get more from a regulatory perspective, the mechanisms or the instruments that the regulator will use and the methodologies that it will use in order to set and approve these different kinds of tariffs.
Does it expand the powers of the electricity minister?
Not really. Okay. There are versions now of the bill. Initially, yes, the draft that was published in February 2022, it did talk about the minister having, the powers to direct the transmission company in order to implement a transmission development plan. Currently, Eskom does the transmission development plan, and from a policy perspective, the department does more of a monitoring or an oversight view to ensure that Eskom as a regulated entity, but also the department as a policymaker and ensuring stability of the electricity supply industry in South Africa, does get involved in ensuring that oversight that Eskom actually does what it's supposed to do.
And Boitumelo, law and policymakers have been saying quite a couple of times how urgent it was to pass this bill so that it becomes a law, but it has seen severe delays in the last couple of months. How important is it that this current administration concludes this process of this particular bill so that we see ourselves moving on from it?
It is quite important, but let me also point out that there have been some positive developments since, the energy plan that was announced by the president, and also the setting up of the National Electricity Crisis Committee. And also the Schedule 2, which exempts private generation from licensing, but rather to register any size of generation power plant. And NERSA up to so far has registered close to about 1,000 projects amounting to 5,000 megawatt, which is 5 gigawatt of generation capacity at various stages of these coming online onto the grid. So what the amendment bill will do by the time it gets promulgated, yes, it needs to be done as a matter of agency, but it will come at a time where the industry itself has transformed itself in the direction that the amendment bill is pointing to. And as I pointed out, the National Transmission Company of South Africa is already set up. Eskom is ready to implement the unbundling. The process of licensing has been done, where the transmission license has now been taken into the National Transmission Company of South Africa. Previously, it used to be in the hands of Eskom Holdings. So the agency is there, but there are positive developments that are currently taking place. So by the time the president assent to these amendments, the industry, I think, would be ready for implementation.
Yeah. Okay, just lastly, Boitumelo, you talk about the unbundling and the transmission system, etc. What about the transmission system operator and the importance of defining its functions even further in this particular bill, so that transparency, even for us as consumers, even though maybe we won't understand like you would quite immediately, but in terms of the Act defining its functions properly to us?
The amendment bill goes into detail, actually. So the proposed insertion of Section 30, Section 31, I think up to Section 34 of the amendment bill, Section 31, it does go into detail into the functions of the transmission operator. And these are broken down into various functions. So there's the system operations, which will take care of the controlling of the stability of the grid, the voltage controlling, and such as, also the connection. But also as a transmitter, the National Transmission Company of South Africa will have functions that are detailed in the amendment bill in terms of transmission planning, investment, and development. And also for market operations, those are also detailed in the amendment bill in terms of what functions the National Transmission Company will take on in ensuring that buyers and sellers of electricity operate in this proposed competitive electricity market.
All right. Thank you very much for your time here, Boitumelo, on eNCA. Boitumelo Kiepile, he's from Enel Green Power South Africa.